Who wants to be a helper today? Got some things to hand out. Jeffrey, you want to handle it? Thank you, sir. We are in part 2 of the Sermon on the Plain. It's found in Luke chapter 6. It's where we're going to spend our time today. If I were to talk to you about things that people know that Jesus said, words of Jesus, whether somebody is a Christian or they're not a Christian, whether they go to church or they don't go to church, are there things that people recognize that Jesus spoke? What do you think those things would be? Some of those common things. Let me get you started. The golden rule. What is the golden rule? Okay. Most people would recognize, if you say the golden rule, they would know what you're talking about, and they would recognize that Jesus was the one who taught that golden rule. Thank you, sir. What are maybe some other things that Jesus said that people are very well aware of? Anybody have any?
Well, it's not something he said, but Jesus wept. Everybody knows that.
All right. Okay. Okay. Okay.
First.
I'm looking for words that he said. Yeah.
I'm the way.
Okay.
Truth.
Yeah.
Do not judge.
Do not judge. A lot of people know that Jesus said, do not judge, lest you be judged. Okay. Anybody else? Yeah.
I am.
The I am. Okay. The different I ams that he stated there. Yeah.
Love your enemy.
Love. Who said that?
Didn't Jesus say to love your enemies?
He did say to love your enemies. Okay.
Love to, right, no fun. But
Okay.
that's one that I think non-Christians love to attribute back to Christians. Like, well, didn't your God say to love your
Yeah.
enemies?
Love your enemies. Yes.
Forgive them, for they know not what they do.
Okay. Okay. So a lot of the concepts that we are talking about today that are generally attributed to Jesus are in this sermon. In the next few verses that we're gonna read today, Jesus' sermon on what's called the Sermon on the Plain, you're going to hear some of these things that we just talked about. Okay, and they're all kind of condensed in this one sermon that he is talking to people about. Okay, so let's just start it off. Luke chapter 6. I have Cynthia read this. I'll read it. Okay, you just brought it up.
Yeah, I can't read.
No, I'll read it. That's okay.
I felt like I was cheating because then as soon as Jeff handed me the paper.
You looked?
No, well, I saw
You
it.
peeked
but
ahead?
It was the first word that came to my mind.
Okay.
It felt like simultaneous.
Okay. Gotcha. So I'm in verse number 27. Okay, so we're right in the middle of this sermon. But I tell you who hear me, love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who mistreat you. If someone strikes you on one cheek, turn to him the other also. I thought somebody would say turn the other cheek today. Okay. If someone takes your cloak, do not stop him from taking your tunic. Give to everyone who asks you, and if anyone takes what belongs to you, do not demand it back. Do to others as you would have them do to you. There's the golden rule. Okay. If you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners love those who love them. And if you do good to those who are good to you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners do that. And if you lend to those from whom you expect repayment, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners, expecting to be repaid. But love your enemies, do good to them, and lend to them without expecting to get anything back. Then your reward will be great, and you will be sons of the Most High, because he is kind to the ungrateful and the wicked. Be merciful, just as your Father is merciful. There's a lot here. So here's the thing. When Jesus tells us, let me just back up a little bit. Just a reminder of what we've talked about so far. Prior to this, Jesus had designated his 12 apostles. He had called these 12 men who were going to follow him, and he had designated them as apostles. Then they go out and they go to this plain, and he starts preaching to his disciples first. Now, there's a lot of people coming. We talked about this last week. There's a lot of people who are coming to be healed by him, and they are traveling a very long way to do that. We talked about the fact that some of the places that they had talked about, if you were a healthy person and you were traveling, it'd take you probably close to a week to get there. If you're unhealthy, how long would it really take? Okay, a long, long time. So people are seeking Jesus out. It talks about just so they could touch his garment and hopefully be healed by just touching him. Okay, so there's people clamoring for him, and he starts teaching this stuff. So he's called his 12. People are coming to him, and then all of a sudden he starts talking about loving your enemies. Now I got this question on here: is Jesus asking too much when he commands us to love our enemies? Why is loving our enemies central to the Christian life? This is kind of like, I got to think, did the disciples just think they went on a blind date? Okay.
Yeah.
And they thought, oh, this is going to be really good. I think we've really got something good here with by following Jesus, and everything's going to go good for us because they're coming to him, and he's talking about being sons of the kingdom and all this sort of thing, and it all sounds very, very positive. And then he starts talking about loving your enemies. And I wonder if they all raised their hand and said, whoa, 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 whoa. This is not what I signed up for. Because loving your enemies, that's not something that I really want to do. Let's just talk a little bit about what he's talking about here. So there's a portion of this that is talking about nonviolence, right? It's talking about when somebody does something mean to you, you don't retaliate. And there are a lot of world religions that would teach that. Okay, don't retaliate when somebody has done something to you. But Jesus and Christianity is taking this a step beyond, because he starts talking about not just retaliate. He's talking about do good to them, bless them. And that is a step beyond any religion I can really think of that would say that sort of thing. So what is he doing? What in the world is he doing by telling us to love our enemies? And not only love them. I mean, it's one thing to say, okay, I will put up with them. Do you have neighbors who annoy you? No longer, you moved away. You moved away from all your neighbors, okay? They do things that maybe annoy you, okay? But because you live in a neighborhood, what do? You let it go. You put up with it, right? But he's not talking about just putting up with your enemies. He's not talking about they annoy you, and so just, okay, I don't know. We put up trees, okay? We put up trees. So we don't have to look, okay? All right.
So wait, we're supposed to take casseroles over across the fence that we just put up?
Yes,
I'm
yes.
just asking for a friend.
Okay.
Queen of Sunday school.
Okay. So he is taking it a step beyond. This isn't just put up with them, Jerry.
But then he does say it's the reason is because that's what God does, right? So
Because-
we're supposed to emulate him, and that's what Jesus does,
That's right.
whether we like it or not.
Whether we like it or not.
Okay, God made them, we did this.
Karen.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
when
when we love our enemies, or in other words, do something good for them, after they've done something bad to us, well, then not only does it heal us, but it heals them too, because they obviously have some kind of problem, I mean, maybe they got some kind of trauma. I mean, maybe they got some kind of something that's caused, the two of y'all to have a problem. So it heals you and it heals them, and Jesus is all about healing the world.
Okay.
So
And he is talking about, take a look at verse number 35. He talks about the results of living a life of love for your enemies. Listen to this. But love your enemies, do good to them, and lend to them without expecting to get anything back. Then your reward will be great, and you will be sons of the Most High, because he is kind to the ungrateful and the wicked. Okay? So the results, twofold results of what he is talking about here. Number one, your reward will be great. Let me just stop there for a second. Is he talking about heaven? I mean, is he talking? I've known some folks over the years who will let you know that they are carrying this great burden in their life, but it's going to be good once they die and go to heaven. Okay. Have you ever met anybody like that? Okay. It's good. This great burden, and sometimes they talk a lot about that burden, right? And they're carrying this great burden, but it's going to be all put at the feet of Jesus once they die and go to heaven. Okay. Is he just talking about heaven?
no.
I don't think he is. What is he talking about? Yeah. What's the reward here?
Peace.
Ooh, you're onto something. Peace. So if I'm angry with somebody, what happens to the inside of me?
Get bitter. Blood pressure.
Well, there you go. It can. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It can come out physically, okay? Or it can just keep you awake at night. It keeps churning on the inside of you, okay? And it's going to keep messing with you. I know this because I'm like that. Okay? I have a hard time with these verses. Because when somebody has done something to really honk me off, I have a hard time. I might be able to walk away from them. I might be able to ignore them. Okay. But can I really love them? Years ago, I had an experience. It was when our kids were little. And some of you have gone through this. Some of you might still be going through this. It's baseball season right now, right? Okay. When it was in summertime and baseball season, you're running every chance you get. You're taking your kids off to baseball. And there was this coach that had been assigned my oldest son's coach that year, and he was the most bitter man I think I've ever seen as a coach. And I remember going out to pick John up at they were practicing one night, and this one kid, he was a kind of a chunk, wasn't the greatest athlete in the world, but he wanted to play first base. And he kept saying to the coach, "Can I play first base?" And the coach would ignore him. He'd ignore him. And he's just so dour, just so angry. And finally, he just yelled at the kid and he said, "No, you can't play first base." And then he swore. And then he said, "Because you can't catch the ball. A first baseman has to catch the ball. So go somewhere else." And I'm like, holy smokes. These are children. Okay. And so when it came time for the evaluation that year from the parents, I gave him a very negative review, and he was asked never to come back. But as God would have it in my life, things spun around. Okay.
Became a client.
Well, no, I ended up coaching football with him years later. Okay.
Was he the assistant?
He was an assistant when I was an assistant, so we were on the same level. And talking with him one night, I realized he told me a story. He said his son, who was on the same team, actually had leukemia, and he had just come through remission, come out of remission. But the drugs that they were using on him, and they were in, I'm going to say like 5th grade, so they were young kids, caused him to go into depression. And that summer, his son had tried to kill himself. This put a new spin on his attitude to me. Okay, all of a sudden, I'm like, I'm not seeing you as an enemy anymore. I'm seeing the reason maybe you were so angry. Now, you probably still shouldn't have been coaching, but he and I have become extremely good friends. Okay. Now, that's just one example. They don't all work out that way for me, by the way. Okay. But that was one example of maybe there's a reason why we ought to take a softer approach than to just say, you're my friend, but not you. Okay. I heard you say something, do something, whatever, and I don't like you. Okay. So you're on the naughty list. You're on the nice list. Chris is going to be nice list. Chris is always nice. But Jerry, I don't know about Jerry. Okay. Okay. Can you trust Australians? I don't know. Okay. So here's the thing. I'm picking on you. Here's the thing. There are reasons I think that the reward happens to us. I've got on, you're going to say something, Jeff.
I just said we have the benefit now versus the apostles that we know why that Christ went to the cross, and we know why he went to the cross for us, and that he died for everyone, for everybody, whether they're a good person or a bad person,
Right.
You know, in our eyes. And so we have that benefit. And then also, one of my friends is always, and he's a pastor, but he, one of the things he likes to say is, you can't really condemn somebody until you walk in their shoes. You don't really know what they're going through, which is exactly what you just described.
Right.
You don't know if his son, somebody's son has cancer, or maybe try to kill himself, which is even
Or try to kill himself. Yeah. He was scared to death, he and his wife. The second part of what he said in verse 35 is, you will be sons of the Most High. And I think that we ought to take stock of that as Christians. What he is talking about there is there's an inheritance for you in God. Okay. And as a member of a family, aren't you held to an expectation to, for the family name? Liz?
So how do you address this with adhering to the laws?
How do I address this?
Like adhering to the laws.
Like the laws of our land.
Yes, someone steals from you.
Okay. How do you handle that in this situation? Yeah.
In accordance to this.
On the other cheek list.
Well, that's where I'm getting with this.
Mhm.
This is where I struggle sometimes, because you look at this and you think, but someone steals from you. Do you call the police? Of course. If someone strikes you, hurts you.
But in this case, he asked, right?
Hmm?
So with the shirt, right? So he says, if someone asks for your shirt, you give him a second shirt, right? In terms of the fighting, we do have in our legal system, if someone fights you, right, and if you fight back, then you can be prosecuted for depending on what happens to the person. But the system is that you allow the police to be involved and that, not you. So it does follow, so some of it doesn't necessarily get you into trouble.
Well, I'm just saying, there's a,
I see where you're going, because this creates an uneasy place for us to be, right?
in my mind, it does.
And the Bible would be clear on the fact that stealing, for you just brought up stealing, okay, if somebody steals something from you, that's wrong, right? It's in the commandments, you know, don't steal. And so it's wrong, and our laws are built upon that. But what you're saying is, what Jesus is saying here, if you're going to be merciful like God is merciful, then there's forgiveness, right? This is hard. This is not easy stuff. Yeah.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, I think what Jerry was saying was like, the Bible says that they ask you, like they ask you for something, which is different than just taking it.
Well, but I'm also,
But-
I mean, I'm
but
Not all it
also
says.
to where someone slaps you on the cheek.
But yeah,
Turn them the other cheek.
yeah. But
Yeah.
also, I think like you run into that issue that there are people that are just gonna keep asking and asking and asking,
Yes.
or taking and taking and taking,
Mhm.
because God hasn't worked it in their conscience maybe quite the same way as he's worked in yours. And taking advantage. So how far do you
Yeah,
go?
you don't
I want your
enable
car, I
somebody.
want your house. I'm carrying it really far, but
Well,
But it's
you
true.
bring up a good point.
do you see my?
Yeah,
my
because
point?
Jesus has put us in a situation where he is saying, if you're going to be in the family of God, then you need to look at things as the Father sees them. Ken?
Let's go back to the word forgiveness.
Yeah.
If you forgive somebody, now, all the hurts in my life, in counsel, he keeps telling me over and over and over, whose forgiveness heals? It heals yourself,
Yeah.
and letting go.
And letting go.
And I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to let casseroles go.
He doesn't do casseroles. He's a chef.
The rest
You're
of
gonna
us
say
do though, Ken.
Yeah.
I think about like, even though taxation is a different topic, philosophically, it's sort of, to me, it rings the same. Of when Jesus says, give to Caesar what is Caesar's and give to God what is God's, doesn't that provide some allowance for the structures that are on earth established by governments? And then can't you forgive, but also work within that legal structure to prosecute? And, think about people whose family members have been murdered, that they still may end up forgiving the person who's found guilty without saying, well, just let him walk free or her walk free. I don't know.
Some of you would know Dina Furnish. I don't know if you've heard Dina's testimony before. Dina's mother was killed by a drunk driver. He was a truck driver, and he was drunk, and he ran her over and killed her. And it was left her and her sister alone.
How old was Dina when that happened? You know?
How old was Dina when that happened? I think she was, teenager, I believe.
Wow.
Anyway, I remember her talking about the fact that she and her sister, the man was arrested. So the legal system obviously got involved here, and he did prison time for that. That's justice, right? That's upheld by the Bible, justice. But they met with him and forgave him of that. So you're asking, would I call the cops if somebody's broke into our house? Yeah, I would. Okay. But what happens on the inside of us? I mean, this is about forgiveness, right? It might, can the legal system and forgiveness coexist? In her situation, it did. You're trying to get my attention. Yeah.
There's one thing about forgiveness, which is what we should do, but that doesn't mean there's not consequences. So the same with my children, when my son lied to me, I forgave him, but there was consequences for lying to mom. So I think it's the same thing, that we can forgive, we can follow. If somebody does something, Jesus isn't saying, let them walk all over you all the time and not have anything happen, because that's not how we teach. That's not how I taught my children. If I would have let my, he lied to me, it's okay, I forgive you because I'm not supposed to retaliate in any way, I wouldn't be teaching them anything. That's not true love.
Yeah.
So helping them learn something, or if there's consequences, goes right along with forgiveness.
Jesus wasn't talking about having affection for your enemies. He was talking about choosing a conscious attitude toward them. It takes, you have to consciously say, I'm not going to hate it. I'm not going to hate this person. But you don't have to love them. You don't have to have an affection for them. You don't have to like what they did to you. But you, and I don't think that it means that you can't pursue justice.
Okay.
I think it just means that you have to have an attitude like Dina did of forgiveness.
Speaking of kids, when we were raising our kids and they would get upset with somebody for whatever, I would always say, you can't control other people, but you can control you.
Right.
So I think that goes along with what Jeff is saying. God is asking us to control us and how we feel towards someone, how we treat someone, how, think before you speak, and trying to be more godlike in our attitudes toward people, even if they've wronged us. So I think that's
Jerry?
over.
I was just gonna say,
Oh, sorry, Beck.
oftentimes it's couched in the idea of the Jews being under the Roman rulers, right? So who's your enemy, major enemy for the Jews are the Romans, right?
Right.
And so I think, it comes about to who's your, in situations where someone's truly your enemy, like, for example, say when 9/11, when the towers blew up. Is it vengeance? We want to kill all of them that have a funny looking headband, or do we want to love our enemies? And that's when it becomes particularly, it's not necessarily the one next door, the one that really does harm to you, right? Like the Romans were doing to the Jews. And so that's even more difficult.
Okay, Becky?
So, I mean, it's certainly an ethical dilemma for every Christ follower. And I would say that we need to be so prayed up, trained up with the Holy Spirit, because each situation could be a little different. What do I do? How do I react? Yes, we're law and order, but then there's forgiveness. And then you can say, I forgive you, I forgive you, I forgive you. And that's great, but that person can do something terrible over there to a group of people or something. So it's be as close to the Holy Spirit as we can for each situation, and help me, Lord, what do I do?
You don't know that it's little Timmy who just stole some money out of your purse, so he could buy food for his mother.
That's
You
what
don't-
I'm
you don't
saying.
know,
Yeah.
that
And
There's
little
forgiveness that
Timmy,
can be
I knew
there.
a little Timmy back in,
Yeah.
when I was working down in the hood, that he
Double
stole a
the
package of bologna from the village pantry right by the ministry I was with. There were cop cars all around. I'm like, oh, what's happening? I go in there because, I'm kind of a Barney Five, I'm a Christian Barney Five.
That's why you're on
So I
safety
go
team.
in there, insert myself, and now I know the cops on the beat, and they go, hey, Miss Becky, this guy over here, and he's like, Timmy's this age.
Yeah.
And they didn't know what to do with him, because they knew he's from a poor family, he's probably starving. He did the 5-finger discount, got the pack of bologna, but he was caught.
Yeah.
So I said, let me handle it. And they go, okay, thanks. And they went on to, to bigger fish to fry.
Yeah.
And so I paid for the bologna, and I said, where do you live? And he told me. I went over there, talked to mama and all that, and from that relationship, Timmy's two older teen brothers heard about the drop-in center that I was helping to run, and they started to come. They both came to Christ.
Wow.
I'm like, so come on, that's why I
Yeah.
love bologna sandwiches.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Nancy.
So it sounds like we're saying, or we're coming to a conclusion that it's about whatever furthers God's kingdom in that situation.
Yeah. But let me just throw this out.
This
What?
gentleman is trying
Oh,
to
okay.
pay
I'm sorry.
attention.
I was just.
Tell me your name. I'm
My
sorry.
my name's Art.
Art. Okay.
Yes.
Go right ahead, Art.
And, you know, the one thing is that Jesus, I believe, is reminding us of who our enemy is. It's not that person. It's the devil.
Yeah,
Yeah.
amen.
And so often we put it on the person instead of who our true enemy is.
Well, I got a little illustration on your page, and I think this maybe goes into it. So I got a heart in the middle of that, and that represents what's going on the inside of us. Okay, what's churning on the inside of us? Is it love or is it hate? Okay. Now, if I am going to strike out against those that I hate, they're kind of on the outside of that circle, right? I cannot strike out against them without crossing the line of those I love. So what's going to happen if I strike out in hate towards somebody who does me wrong? It's going to affect the people who are closest to me that I love. They're going to see it, they're going to experience it, and they're probably going to mimic it in their lives too. Okay? One of the more frightful things that happens in my life right now is my sons start to talk. And I hear my voice coming out of their mouth. It's one of the more frightful things that happen. And I try to hit my brakes, you know, and they're going to the floor. They're not stopping, and they repeat words that I said years ago. Okay. So anyway, but you cannot, if you react in love towards your enemies, that also affects those that are closest to you. You're always going to cross that line, aren't you? This is what's so difficult about being a Christian, because what we are talking about is not natural.
Right.
My human spirit, the heart of Kevin Yaney, is not to love my enemies. I hate to tell you that. That is only through divine intervention into my life and into your life that can happen. So I know what some of you are going through right now. I don't know all your stories, but I know what some of you are going through right now. And you're going through some hard stuff. And it would be very easy, let me just jump to the application here, to strike out in anger. It's much harder to react in love, to think twice, to reach out. And it's hard. I'm not saying that what you're going through is easy. You know, I think there's so many times in Christianity, we were like, oh, just read your Bible and do what Jesus would do. Okay. Well, that's true, but it's not easy. This is not easy stuff. Okay. So I'm going to jump ahead. I had something on here about the Apostle Paul, but think about Paul. Think about how Paul reacted before he was a Christian. And tell me that he did not react in anger to those that he saw as his enemies to the extreme. I mean, if he were living today, we'd call him a terrorist. Okay?
Yeah.
We would call him a terrorist.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And when God touched his heart, he changed the inside. So he starts reaching out in love. I got on here, I'm not going to read it today, but Romans 12:9-21 talks to people about bear with one another, react in love, do not seek vengeance. That's God's job. That's not your job. React in love. Okay. As far as it depends on you. Live at peace with everybody. Okay. Your part is to try to live at peace with them all, even though they tweak you, even though they may hate you back. Okay. So, I want to go on because there's some good stuff here and we're getting real short on time. So he's going to give 4 parables. Take a look at verse number 37. He said, do not judge and you will not be judged. There it is. There's the verse. Okay. There's the verse that everybody knows that they're going to throw up in your face. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. Okay. Listen to this. Do not condemn. He didn't stop there. Do not condemn and you will not be condemned. Forgive and you'll be forgiven. Give and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured back to you. So he talks about what it means to be being a Christian is to take a close look at our hearts. Those are the blanks on your page. To be a Christian, I told you last week, to be a Christian means to change. If you're going to go to God and say, I'm 90% there, I just need you to fix 10% of me, that is not Christianity. Okay? That's a self-help situation, right? I'm 90% good, I just need 10% of me to be fixed. Okay? That's not Christianity. So he is going to stretch you. He's going to put you in new wineskins, as he talked about. He is going to stretch you. This week, he's talking about something a little bit different. And he's like, you need to take a good look at the inside of you. So he talked about the fact that there are 4 things that we could do when we take a look at our hearts and we're in a situation. We can judge others, and then we can take it a step beyond and we can condemn them. Or we can forgive them and we can give to them. And I think this is where the whole loving of enemies comes about. So the first thing that we have to do when somebody does us wrong, forgive them. But then what does he say? And give to them. Can I just forgive them? Can I just forgive them? Do I have to give to them too? Okay. He says this about he gives 4 quick parables. First one. He told him a parable. He said, can a blind man lead a blind man? Will they not both fall into a pit? So there's number 1, the blind leading the blind. What in the world is he talking about? If you are following somebody, and we all listen to somebody, we're all influenced by people. But if you are influenced by somebody who has not been changed by Christ, they will lead you into a pit. Okay? You're following the wrong person. Now, I can get really wrapped up. Let's go back to that whole anger thing. If somebody's gonna say to me, you have been wronged by this person. And I think you've been wronged, and I think you ought to go do something to them to get them in trouble, or to say negative things about them, or do this or do that, and I'm behind you. Okay, you're following the wrong person.
Yeah.
You're following wrong. They might have great intentions. They might want to support you in what's going on in your life. Okay. But you got to be careful here about who you follow in these situations. It's a matter of the heart. What's going to go on the inside of you. Second one, he talks about verse 40. A student is not above his teacher, but everyone who is fully trained will be like his teacher. So the teacher and the student, when a teacher is fully trained, he will be like his teacher. Who's teaching you? I mean, I know I'm teaching you right now. Don't answer me. Okay. But who is teaching you in your life? Okay. So not only what voices are you hearing, but who is teaching you and what are you taking in? Because you are going to be changed to be like them. Are they teaching you good things, godly things, or are they leading you away? Okay, that was the second one. Number 3, verse 41. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye, pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, hey, brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, but you fail to see the plank in your own eye? You hypocrite. First take the plank out of your own eye, and then you'll be able to see clearly and remove the speck from your brother's eye. So he's talking about hypocrisy, obviously. And it's a funny story, actually. If you think about me having a 2x4
Yes.
out of my eye, and I'm coming up to Jeff, and Jeff, I whack whack, whack, want to get the speck out of your eye when it's obvious that I have something in my eye that's huge. Okay. It's a funny little story. But what he's talking about here is, are you right with the Lord before you start handing out advice? Lots of Christians have advice. Have you noticed that? If you're going through something in your life, there's a lot of advice that people like to give to tell you how to fix yourself. Okay? Yeah.
One thing we learn in CR
Mhm.
is we're not there to fix the other person. So when we break down into small groups and everybody says how their week went and talks about their challenges and what we're still dealing with. And nobody's allowed to crosstalk. So you can't say, well, you need to do this. But at the very end, we have a little open time of cross-talking. But the whole idea is that you're not trying to fix somebody. You're just there to support them.
You're there to support them. Right, right. Now, there are times when I think the Lord puts something on your heart. Check your motives before you open your mouth, though. Check your motives. Are you trying to say, I'm better than you? Are you trying to say, my life is God has blessed me, and so and I'm doing everything right? Or are you really trying to help a brother or sister in need? Okay, yes, Chris.
I think it also makes a difference if they're a believer or not. Because people that know you're a Christian and you give advice to, it has to be very loving advice, because if they don't follow what your life is like, they don't even understand what you're talking about.
Well, his last illustration is going to speak to that. Got one more in between here, though. Verse 43 says, no good trees bears bad fruit, nor does a bad tree bear good fruit. Each tree is recognized by its own fruit. People do not pick figs from thorn bushes or grapes from briars. The good man brings good things out of the good stored up in his heart. The evil man brings evil things out of the evil stored up in his heart. For out of the overflow of his heart, his mouth speaks. In other words, what's on the inside of you, that little heart that we have on there, it's eventually going to come out.
Yeah.
You might have hatred in there and you're faking it and you're saying, I have love in there, but it's eventually going to come out as hate. Okay. And if you have love in there, love's eventually going to come out. The fruit's going to show. Years ago, we have apple trees in our backyard. I bought 3 Red Delicious apple trees and planted them back there. And they were marked Red Delicious apple trees, except one wasn't. One was a crab apple. Little bitty crab apples. The birds love them. They're not edible. You can't eat those things. Okay. You can't eat them. What's that? Crab apple casserole. Oh boy. The fruit proves, it comes out. It comes out. So understand the difference of what is coming out of a heart of love and a heart of hate. It eventually comes out all out of our heart. Okay, here's your illustration. The last thing he says, verse 46. Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and you don't do what I say? I will show you what he is like who comes to me and hears my words and puts them into practice. He's like a man building a house who dug deep, laid the foundation on rock. And when a flood came, the torrent struck that house, but he could not shake it because it was well built. But the one who hears my words, and this is what you're talking about, and does not put them into practice is like a man who built his house on the ground without a foundation. The moment the torrent struck that house, it collapsed and its destruction was complete. Okay. So what he's talking about there is, obviously building your foundation on Christ, on his words, doing what he says. Here's the thing. I think there's if you're going through a testing time, if you're going through a time where the winds and the waves seem to be beating against you, hold on to that love that Jesus is talking about. Hold on to it. Because really that's what will get you through as far as your relationship with him is understanding that he loves you regardless of what you're going through. He truly loves you with all of his heart. Make sure the overflow of your words are coming from a place of love and not a place of hate or anger or frustration. Okay? Guard your words. Be careful, because it will hurt those around you if you're not careful. Gather strength from true believers. I love this class. I love this class because I tell people this. Art, you're new in here. I didn't get a chance to tell you this before you got in here. Sorry. Okay. People will share their heart in here in prayer request. And I've had people come in before who are new and who are a little surprised. I look at them and somebody gives a prayer request and their eyes do this. You know? But I like that fact that we can share what's going on with us in here, and people will pray for it. And we can celebrate when Helen gets a job, and we can pray for friends who desperately need a liver transplant, and we can pray for a whole lot more too. Okay, not just physical stuff that's going on. It's not just physical stuff. I love that about this class. So gather strength from true believers. They can help you through the process. They can pray for you. And the last thing I would say is don't give up. Don't give up. Going through hard time, don't give up. I don't like hard times. I don't know anybody who does, but they come and they're part of our Christian walk. All right. Got through it. Didn't think we were going to. Yeah.
So does this all mean that we can't hate the New England Patriots, Tom Brady, or Bill Belichick?
That's what it means. Yes.
You gotta forgive them, Joe.
But you can cheer against them. Yeah. You can root against them. Yes. Yes. Any others? Great piece of scripture, wasn't it? Rapid fire sermon on the plane. Man, Jesus packed it in there. So a lot of stuff. Yeah, Tim.
You know, one of the things I was watching a movie yesterday called Agora. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of it.
Angora?
Agora.
Agora.
A-G-O-R-A.
Okay.
It's based on 400 AD, Alexandria. It's got a library there.
Yep.
It's about paganism, Christianity, and Judaism. There's three sects of people with the Roman Empire coming in and trying to. You can see all the conflict and stuff that's going on. If you want a chance, everything that you're talking about today kind of reflects from that movie. So if anybody has a chance to watch it, it's on Prime Video.
Okay.
So whoever got Prime Video, Amazon, free. You can watch it.
I'll have to check it out.
It just shows the hatred over religion, people not, the way they approach people. Like the Christians are getting as bad as the pagans because they were trying to burn the pagans alive. You know what I'm saying? It's just the hatred rather than the understanding, trying to reach understanding.
Very good. All right.
Next question.
Oh, yes, Art.
One comment. The last part of that scripture about the house,
Mhm.
both houses look great, okay, but one's built on the rock, and one you can't even tell that there was no foundation.
Good point.
And so, you gotta be careful.
You got to be careful. Yeah, good stuff. All right, let's have a word of prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for your goodness to us. Thank you for a wonderful piece of scripture today. What a challenge we have ahead of us as Christians to live this out. And I would pray that we're smart enough to realize that we need your help in doing this, that this is not something that we can just have an iron will and grit our teeth and get through on our own. But it takes you. It takes you changing us and changing our hearts. And I just pray that you would help us to do that. That's just your name. Amen. All right. We're back at it next week. Memorial Day is not going to stop us.